Alright. Let's get started. Figure out what we're gonna do tonight. In career mode. Last night was brutal. Last night was brutal. The 4-hour rescue of Nedbu. And the other 5 failed launches that accompanied it. So, as punishment, you may notice my science meter is much higher than it was last night. I sent Nedbu out on every runway and every launch pad we have available to us with a laboratory, and forced him to collect science to repay his debt.
Oh,
Now we are loaded on missions. I do want to get this temperature surveys of the Mun. So the first thing, when we get people joining, I'll do this heat shield test. Did save this. I didn't want to do any contracts, at least off stream here. So this is an easy one. It's just a run test button. We've done that kind of mission before with a larger heat shield, or smaller heat shield actually. So I'll grab Nedbo's lab. While I'm doing this, I'm going to put the mystery glue back on the back. Some of these materials ones, you end up needing to collect a couple times to get anything out of it. Or to get the most out of it, I should say. Wow, I'm always bad at the start of a stream. That's my excuse. Alright, and then we're going to throw this sucker on there. Make Nedbu test the sucker out, since he is currently redeeming himself for the absurdly expensive trying to start without me. Don't worry, I made sure I wasn't doing anything good just yet. Not that I ever do, to be honest. So, what you missed so far, I did punish Nedbu and made him take laboratory readings from every launch pad and every runway. So we have a lot of science to spend. And meanwhile, I've also got this little guy to run this mission. And that closes out yet another contract. Test the heat shield, landed at Kerbin. I wonder if at some point they're going to make that a challenge and make it so you got to be landed at Kerbin but not at a launch pad. I think it'd be something along those lines. Now, Nedbo did land us a lot of science. So, I'm going to try and start planning how we're going to get to the moon. Let's see. Now, this one actually would be pretty good. Propulsion systems for satellites. Some smaller engines, side tanks, Oscar B fuel tanks, monoprop, although we don't have any monoprop based engines yet. This is, I think, one of the ones I'm going to end up buying right now. This is extra fuel, so we got fuel duct lines, larger tanks, heavy rocketry, the larger engines. Just the AJ-10 might be enough for me to want to do this, even though we don't really have much I'd want to do on that diameter yet. Jets. We know how well jets go here on our channel, so I don't know about this one. Yeah, I would think not. Oh, the Wolfhound. Oh, yes. Yeah, they did name the AJ-10 the Wolfhound. I didn't even pay attention to that. I just saw I just saw a number I actually recognized from something and went, "Oh man, that's a real engine." Larger command pods are good. Control rails now that just have the lander can too and RCS. This one looks like advanced flight control is going to be needed before we do the moon. Not a big fan of this. That would be like having probes that drive on the ground like landers. And docking. Ooh. I would want docking before the moon. I like to do Apollo style moon. So I've got 4 categories, I think, that I would want to do. So we'd want miniaturization, advanced flight control, fuel systems, and heavy rocketry. But for now, I'm going to start with something that's more universal here. I'm going to do the heavy rocketry and the fuel systems, because we can use that for other things in the meantime. So that puts us not too far away from being able to do our upcoming moon mission. 160 science. And since we like to blow through funds anyway, we might be able to trade out some money for science here. Outsourced R&D. Which is, oh man. We can go as high as 25%. We've got wheels. We've got the landing gear legs, which function as wheels. That's it so far. That would be expensive. Setup costs. Alright. This is what kills me, the setup costs on these. It takes 25% of our funds income. I keep wanting to do these and I keep not doing them for the setup cost. Yeah, that's still gonna be the case. I'm gonna skip that. I just don't like paying the setup cost. It just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it does, and I'm just silly, but... Oh, you know what? There was that one science mission I wanted to make sure we had for the moon as well. And I'm starting to hoard a couple little missions here. Hang on, we're gonna do this one. This is a freebie. Real quick. Transmit data from space around Kerbin. So we're gonna take that. Think of them as negotiation fees. Well, I guess that's a fair way to put it. I might just be being too critical of that. So I'm gonna go to a relay. Because Lorna knows all our relays have science on them. Except our orbiter relays. Now I did start also off screen. I did go and start filtering out our sorting here. It's kind of hard to see because I have the mic in the way. But that way I can kind of get a clean view. I can see where all the space junk is, which is, you know, pieces of the Orbiter 3 which haven't decayed yet. It will decay though. You can see this has a parallax inside the atmosphere. So this should eventually decay and fall back. Tedman's craft. Orbiter 3.4. That one should also decay. I think it's only going to decay if I'm flying it when it goes through orbit, though. So I might just have to look at these and like watch them. Yeah, see now it's giving us all the animation for this. Although it's already on its ascent back up and out of the atmosphere. So this one's at least going to have another orbit. So you can see, yeah, every time it passes through the atmosphere, the apogee is going to lower just a little bit as it slows down. But I'm not really interested in the debris right now, am I? So let's see. Got one probe out there somewhere, is the Adventurer. Although the sad news, I am very sad to report, we did lose radio contact with the Adventurer. It is now out of range. Live long and prosper there, Adventurer. Let me see. We've got several orbiters up there. The Orbiter 3.5, which we can't think of something to do with that later. Still fully fueled and ready for the Nedbo rescue mission that's no longer necessary. And then our satellite network. Our satellite network is crazy. So I'm going to go to CureSat. True, I could upgrade the tracking station and get the Adventurer back in range. Alright, let's see. Where's the science on this guy? Alright. And go. Contract complete. CureSat just send back some science. Speaking of CureSat, I think we need to launch another one out of these missions as well. From space around Mun. Ooh, this gets me more than this one. I'll take that. More reputation gain. Our reputation's not terrible. Despite killing a Kerman, don't worry about that. Now let's see. For CureSat, we really only need a Sat-3 launcher. Now, the other thing with this is now I can kind of rebuild this launcher. And I think I'm going to do that. Because we've got larger tanks. I think it is cheaper to use one large tank as opposed to two half tanks. Yes, it's 200 credits cheaper. The same weight. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna do that. Save us what tiny little bits of funds we can. Oops. I want to save the engine. Ooh. Birdie. update this as well. More aerodynamic cones. That should balance out the cost a little bit. Let's see, do I really need the larger fins? Oh, that's strange. That's something I did not realize. The center of aerodynamic resistance is off-center because of the antenna. It's no bueno. There's an easy way to remedy that. How much is this? 300? Actually, let's take that cone off as well. So we no longer need that. So we do have a geosynchronous orbit as well. So we'll do that one after as well as this one tonight. This one doesn't even really need a science. Zero degree inclination. Wow. Well, in that case, we're just gonna put more relay antennas on. We might as well get a relay antenna out of this. Ooh, and then I did figure out this isn't really necessary. A lot of the stuff I've been doing every launch, and I'm just gonna save this time. As I should be doing. One of the other things I could consider is firing this engine on the ground, putting a couple small tanks on top of these, and fuel lining the fuel over. But I would probably do the equations first and figure out how many units of fuel to put here so they run out exactly as these run out, so I don't feel obligated to keep them. Let's sub-assemblies. Aha, yes, I plan to come back and put... So this would be the Type 1 launcher. Mark 2. Okay. I think we're ready to launch. This will be... I'm a little more confident now. I'm going to start naming satellites on the ground, I think. Equatorial orbit. That's a very high orbit, though. Sat 2, I think. Let me see. you have the community. Ooh, name after the contractor. That's not a bad idea. Communitrons and high gain antennas. Yeah, I don't know why I bothered to put the. Yes, I do. I know why I had that there. Move it down to the rocket. The idea there, just to make sure I have contact with the craft throughout the flight before I deploy the fairing. Before I had it before, I wanted to deploy these, because if I deploy them in the atmosphere, they snap off. I was just paranoid. I don't even know if that's even necessary, or if the onboard communication would be enough. There we go. Yeah, this is actually, I think, even cheaper than the way we had it set up. I might start naming these after the contractor. That's actually a good idea. Alright, solids first. Off we go. I maybe should have considered using the Sat-4 launcher for this because of the extremely high apogee and perigee, but the zero inclination. Oh, that was dumb. That was a dumb thing I did. Didn't check my staging at all. That's fine. Go, recovery mode. Hopefully we'll be high enough in the atmosphere that we won't take too much damage to everything here. We'll see. Just another somersault. Getting the extra style points. Yeah, definitely need to remember to check my staging. This thing is on the other, on the other hand, possibly a contender for the gold in the Olympics. For I don't know what, actually. Oh, check yo staging like Scott Manley. That is a good role model to follow. However, more checking of the staging. This might overheat as well. Yeah, losing that fairing really messed us up. Also, the fact I didn't put the small fins back on. I was gonna at least put the small fins back on. Well, let's see if we can at least get to orbit. At least then we get a relay antenna out of this. Or whatever. Relay satellite out of this. Just that booster can't help but do backflips. But this illustrates a very good point. You see how it's going up now actually above me? Because it's larger, it has more momentum. It carries itself through the atmosphere better. Because it slows itself down slower. Gravity takes longer to affect something that size. So the smart thing to do would actually have been to stay you know, attached to it. But for the purposes of control, I wanted to ditch it. Okay, we're now in space, so I'm gonna just extend the antennas as we get close to apogee. So this is going to end up being a renamed satellite. Call it like the CureSat 2 or something, instead of the FarSat. So not a total loss. We'll have to do something about the para-apps real quick. There we go. Did I miss my node? No. Wrong node. 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright. Find our target position. Go! Alternate missions. Oh, actually overdid it. Well, that's just fine. Don't need a perfectly circular orbit. Para-RG is now coming up. I'm gonna just put this in the high inclination, just to say I did. I was gonna raise apogee. I'll leave it be. I'll leave it right where it is. Right in the way of every launch. The way it's supposed to be. More important than checking my staging is checking my solar panels, I learned last night. There we are. Alright, so got to put the wings back on. That's one thing. Forgot to check my staging. That's another thing. There we go. And resave the subassembly, or else we're going to keep doing this to ourselves. Mark 2. And go. So we just overrode that. Now it's got the Communitron on it, the wings on it. Alright. all around, this one is looking like it'll work. Now, that does also then make me want to grab the Keosat launcher. Probably use this one for this mission. And I'll do the same thing, I'll update this one a little bit. We'll take this cone off. Take the science off. Get more antennas on it. I'm gonna move that down to the body. Ooh, which this one is shorter, isn't it? I'll take the engine off. Take that off. Let's see, what goodies do we have? Still got the little tiny tank. Throw that on. One of the full size. We're gonna put the shroud on. The fairing. I always find building these fairings to be somewhat confusing in terms of the controls. There we go. Communitron, move it down. Now, can we finally be less silly with this whole deal? 6 of these small tanks. So that's the 99 fuel each. Oh, this one's a 2.0 size. I didn't even realize I had the larger. It's cool. Take these off. These off, so I remember them this time. Take that off. 6 of those. And this would be 4 of those, and this would be 2. So I'd want these 2. Ooh, that looks nice, doesn't it? I like the looks of that. Now, do I have any engines I would want to use instead? No. This is this is the larger plate. Although Bear. I wish that wasn't just specifically a vacuum engine, because that looks awesome right there. Now that looks like an engine for a rocket. Look at that. I wish that was not just a vacuum engine so badly right now. That's quite alright. When I do unlock the Kodiak, I could probably switch out the Reliant for the Kodiak, although I don't really know if there's a point. The Kodiak is more money, and it really isn't any better at all. It's like the tiniest bit better than the Reliant on the ground, and then immediately loses that ability as soon as you get to thinner atmosphere, since this is more efficient. And it's more, like I said, more money. I think the only benefit to the Kodiak is that it has the shroud that lets you put like wings and legs further down. I don't know who's doing that with that craft. thought maybe I had these a little further down. So this is as far down as I can manage. Okay. And the side engines here with all the gimbal. Now I think I figured out before, it's wiser to launch like this because the gimbaling range is this way, so I can tip the rocket over easier this way. Just, I don't think... I think I might have a problem with these boosters. I feel like they might hit the side of the craft or something. Let's drop those on. Okay. So this is, yeah, a little more expensive than the last one we were going to launch, but should get us a lot further. So let's go ahead and update the subassembly for this as well. Something I was meaning to do this, really. It does make it a lot easier. So this is a Type 2 launcher Mark II. All right. Well, you're right. You know what? I'm going to do the contract. I'm going to do the contracting name. Doesn't tell me here. So I'm going to name it. Just. Okay. Set for launch. It should in plus now. Oh yeah, I didn't bother to blow that up. That's okay. Experimental. I like the mental. Let's name it Xperi 1. Alright, checking my staging. Towers, boosters, main, gimbals. Okay. Separate. Separate. Yep, that would have been a problem. That kicks off, then that kicks off, then that. No. Yep. So that kicks, then that kicks, then that kicks, then that, then that. Okay. I think I enjoy the ability to pick the skins of the parts a little too much. I'm just so used to the same looking craft in Kerbal that I think it just tickles me more than it should. Now one of the other things I can try and do is I could put parachutes on these and try and see if they could survive landing back on Kerbin and cover those, but I don't know how necessary that is. If I'd even really... I felt like that hit something, but it doesn't look like it did. Yes, this is much easier to turn with this gimbal the way it is. You see how the way the gimbal is angled along this angle. Well, that didn't really get me as much as I wanted. These things love to somersault. see. How high is our apogee? Our apogee's already really in space. Line this up then, take my time. So since we're on a zero plane change high orbit, I'm just going to drive a really high, shallow suborbit. Because I don't want this to end up stuck in space, this stage. Alright, we're a good distance away from Kerbin. We can drop the fairing. Extend at least one antenna. Perfect. Alright, so what that stage did, obviously it got us very high apogee and left us with a return to Kerbin for the booster. Exactly what I wanted. So this is the orbit we're going for, this one way out here. And the Rockamax is an inclined geostationary. This one's actually going to be probably more help for our communications network than this one. Although this one might help us at some angles with the MUN. Although I have a feeling Farsat 1 over here will be better at that. Let's deploy the other antennas. Just to do it. "34 minutes till our maneuver." Figure out our precise burn while we're waiting for that node to come up. I think satellites are our strong suit here. At least they're mine. At this space program. Perfect. Just a tiny bit of deviation. And I think that's quite alright. So we have all our maneuvers already planned out. What I'm going to do is kill the throttle. Stage into this engine. Just so I can keep using. I'm getting very used to using the Z and X key back and forth for our maneuvers, and whenever I need to stage, I notice I kind of fumble. Nice slow-paced satellite night to make up for all the Nedbo madness. I don't know if there's any one viewer that watched all the way through the Nedbo experience. That was brutal. 4 full hours of saving Nedbo. Minus our adventures under the sea. That's the real shame. That's the real shame of that stream, is that there's no science under the ocean. I'm going to call every marine biologist and say, your life is a farce. Just a sanity check, because this does look like it's a lot of Delta V to do this maneuver. We're gonna sanity check. Oh, I already wiped it out. Okay, I thought I had that still saved for the bus, the satellite bus. But what? It's a 3-ton, 60 thrust, 1.5 roughly consumption per second. 90 fuel units at 1 ton. So like 1,500 roughly. This is all what I remember off the top of my head. So yeah, 1459 stage Delta V. So yeah, that's not bad. Okay. Just making sure I could do all the maneuvers that I wanted to do. I make one more under the sea crack, and we get somebody in one of the blow-up Disney costumes just start beating me with a metal baseball bat. I am in strangely easy driving distance to Orlando, so that's a scary thought of having Disney come in and kill you for slandering them. I guess it's possible. It is Disney after all. It also means I'm fairly conveniently close to Kennedy Space Center. Not Kennedy Space Center. Yes, that. Words, braining. Probably could have time warped. For some reason, I do enjoy actually having to go back and punch in data and figure out Delta V. I feel like that's more fun than just getting Kerbal Engineer. I could just be a psychopath. We don't know. What I was having trouble with, though, I was trying to figure out the math in the integrated timestamp section. So basically, it's running a simulation second by second of what the game physics are going to do. But where I'm struggling, I'm not sure the exact rate at which the atmosphere thins and at which rate the is lessened, like what altitude. I've got a rough approximation in there, which is kind of good. "15 seconds and go." Yeah, I was also noticing some strange anomalies with my math as I got further and further up. It seemed that my numbers got less and less accurate. Like near the ground, I was able to pretty accurately predict at what speed. Oh, I goofed this up a little bit. At what speed and at what altitude I would be however many seconds in. It seemed like I could get that pretty accurate. I'm just trying to think what else it was that I was missing. And part of that, I think, comes down to how I'm figuring the split between vertical and horizontal velocity. I think I screwed that up, maybe. Because inevitably, I'll be doing a gravity turn at a higher altitude. So I think it's not actually the altitude that's throwing my numbers off. I think it's maybe the... the gravity turn. Why is that getting goofy? And this now is in a day, so probably what I'll do is go launch the other satellite. Once I have this one planned out. Looks like I'm at a slight inclination to this as well. And it wasn't just that I accidentally hit the inclination earlier. So I might need to just... Well, it says I'm a 0 degree inclination. Just less than a degree of inclination. I'm sure that's not gonna. They're not gonna hold that back on the contract for that. But anyway, we got 1 day away from this, which means we're gonna be, wow, day 32. Day 32 is almost over. So at the end of day 33, we'll be ready to do that maneuver. So we'll do our multi-missioning. Now this is only 255 meters a second of delta V, so we're good. About half our fuel left. So my numbers are actually pretty right for that as well, in terms of delta V at least. My numbers are typically dead on. Delta V is easier to mathematically predict though. If you go to pull up delta V maps, everyone's got everything figured at vacuum ISP, although depending on the engine, some engines are more efficient on the ground, so you kind of want to switch that around to best rather than just vacuum. So let's launch the KSP 3. That one I might stick to the naming system because they're really more for me now than the contract. Now this one I might use the smaller satellite, I'm not sure. I think I can get away with the smaller one, maybe. Oh, and I did the delta V equations on the Orbiter 3.5, the crazy Save Nedbu rocket, because I was curious what kind of things I could also have accomplished with such an expensive, absurd rocket. It cost 4 times as much as my satellite launchers. Turns out, with the delta V that's on there, theoretically I could have gone to Mun, powered landing on the Mun, taken back off, and returned to Kerbin. And you know, I'm not convinced that that's wrong. I think that's probably right. So this one, KSP 3. What do they want on theirs? They wanted... Wow, that's the same thing. They don't want any science on there. Although that's the same contract, that's why I'm dumb. Hang tight. Mystery goo and a materials bay. Wow. Ah, thanks for joining. Leos. I do remember you. I do remember my 4, maybe 3 viewers. Alright, so Gather science data from the MUN. Oh! Impact 1. Impact 1 checked a box there. Oh, that's a shame. It's a shame I didn't have that now with that contract. And I could get that. Geosynchronous orbit. Did a couple last night. Yeah, those are... I find those kind of fun. And I find them useful. Because theoretically, if you put enough relays up there, and geosynchronous, it should actually help you communicate with the ground fairly well. Of course, I think the tracking station on the next upgrade will completely bypass that necessity entirely. But that's just fine. I like doing things the fun way. So now I gotta figure out... Alright. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do a materials bay and the mystery goo on this one. So we're gonna have to go to the Type B version of our 2nd gen satellites. So materials bay. Did I do this last time? Put solar panels on this instead, I think. Pretty vital before the KSC was the only radio contact to curb it. Yeah. I would say I like the overall ComNet idea. I feel like they could make it harder. I feel like I probably should have like disabled some ranges there, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into the first time. Or else I might actually go into the settings and change some stuff and just tone down how much the tracking station can really reach. I just like the extra challenge of it. Those aren't clipping, right? It's fine. It should be fine. Now, I did increase the weight of this somewhat. Yeah. So I increased the weight. I'm going to have to switch the launcher, I think. I'm going to use the same heavier launcher. Type 2. Oh yes, that's actually a good point. Option to disable extra tracking stations. I had turned that on. I did see that when I started off, and I wasn't sure what impact that was going to have. And now that I understand a little better, I think that might be a thing to disable for hard mode. That would be really cool, I think. Check the staging. Sure this does what I think it does, because it inevitably does not. Bingo. Yeah, this should do. It's not crazy expensive either. I just didn't do a mystery goo. I almost let myself take off without a part of the contract. I was so concerned with getting the materials bay on there. I'm just gonna center one of these right on top. Trick to centering, by the way, on something like this that doesn't go to the snap points. If you just take this already, if you take 2 and move them till it just looks like there's 1 there, you can shift click back to 1 and boom, perfectly centered. guys are probably way ahead of me on that kind of thing, but... Now, the only other thing... Sometimes I wonder if I can benefit from using some of these other launch sites as well. For more than I have. I've used, Boomerang once. No, twice. Twice. For orbits that I wanted to go on a higher inclination to the sun, and on orbits that I, or on rockets, I should say, that I thought were too dangerous for the KSC. Down our velocity vector when we drop the solids so they don't hit us. Good, they just hit each other. And use the gimbaled engines for the gravity turn. Since the gravity turn is something that automatically gets done in Kerbal for some reason. Alright. Should have kept that on. I keep doing that and ditching stuff I don't necessarily have to ditch yet. And then reminding myself, well, I could have kept it after the fact. Well, this rocket likes to flip. Because I didn't put the wings back on it. Okay. Oh, that's right. I didn't have wings on this one. That's right. That's right. Other launch site. Is that with the expansion? I believe so. That might have been with the expansion, because I did bother to download that. You get Boomerang, which is... ooh. This one doesn't get all the way to space. Let me just correct this real quick and then finish my thought. Perfect. So you get Boomerang, which is at a high latitude. You get Desert Launch Site, which is also equatorial and also has an airfield, and you can launch from the island airfield as well. So this time our target orbit much lower. We do have an 8-degree inclination. It's minor, so once we get out to our full height of our orbit, we will take advantage of that. Drop our payload fairing now. Perfect. Same as we did with last launch. We're at least gonna deorbit the booster. Back to days, because we do have another satellite out and waiting for its maneuver. I don't want to go past that. Miss our window. That's the end of my coffee. So let's focus on getting the orbital height correct first. How much delta V is this maneuver adding to the requirements for the burn? A lot. Wow. We're going to just stick to prograde, retrograde maneuvers then. No need to get overly fancy. We'll just do it this way. Make another burn here. This one's going to take quite a few burns to get where I want. Yes. Ah, I forget which one of you was the one that reminded me, or instructed me, the ability to right-click and check your marker. It's almost like I learned. I'm a real boy. Oh, there we go. I think it was you. But I don't remember because I am a horrible person. Okay, now. And another maneuver. How many maneuvers does this let me, like, plan out in advance, I wonder? Need 232. All right. Kill the engine, stage into the engine. Again, I find that less confusing, being already staged into it. And we'll get ready for our 19-second burn. And maybe we can get all these maneuvers done by the time it's in the burn window for the other satellite. Launch at ascending node, descending node in the same inclination to save on fuel. Ah. Did I hear a dog? No, my cats. We've got a pair of them lying around being useless. I'm one of those cats don't... You don't find cats, cats find you kind of situations. It's alright, one of my cats thinks he's a dog. Let's see. Coming up on that burn. Let's see. After all the times I overtime warped last night, I'm now like afraid to time warp. Got a cat at work like that. People stop feeding it. Yeah, cats typically I find just find people rather than the other way around. I haven't even kept all the cats I've rescued. Alright, so 19 seconds. We want to get to 9 or 10 seconds away before we go full. Now we're actually in orbit. just do a little bit of correcting. Not too much. Okay, yeah. We stayed pretty well lined up with that maneuver. Yep, you don't adopt cats, cats adopt humans. And I'm sure if we could ask them, they would tell us that themselves. Okay, another 33 minutes to the next burn. So we'll set ourselves up for that one. The other thing I need to do is check my electric charge. I learned that very, very repetitively last night. Well, I learned it once, I just made the mistake repetitively. Are Kerman cats, by the way? Are Kerman cats? If you can think about this, just think about this logic. We have Kerman finding our space program, not our space program finding Kerman. They're calling us up like an Uber service and then sticking around. I do have 2 more contracts for rescues, by the way, lined up in the space center. They might expire by the time I go and actually go and grab them, but yeah, Kermans can't land with their legs. That's so valid. Cats would land right side up every time. Kermans wouldn't. There you go. You just shut that down in one sentence. But you did it scientifically, so well done, sir. Just to keep me from having bad dreams about this, right? Something about rescuing cats trapped in space. We're getting too drunk and needing to call a space Uber. The ISS could kind of use a space Uber right now. Okay, just minor correction. Oh, so minor that it doesn't even register where it is. I want like some funny music to play on this every time this happens. Alright, so we'll cancel that. Or it won't let us cancel that node. Okay. Cancel it from here. Okay. Last one before we get to our height of orbit that we wanted. We'll do the inclination change here. So it looks like... Well, the descending node actually looks like it might be closer to Paraapse, but I don't think by much. I don't think I care that much. Ooh, okay, that didn't do what I wanted to do. Okay. And maneuver. Try that again. So raise that up. One thing I always forget about that is I get my orbit just right, but then it gets goofed by the inclination change just a little bit. So I will go just a little bit retrograde there, just to make up for it. There. If that doesn't get me the contracts, I don't know what will. That looks dead on. And node's in 2 hours. We still got another 5 hours before we need to adjust the other satellite. Cats are clever, though. Apparently we bring home gifts. They're trying to teach you to hunt. I did not know that. So they just think we're big, dumb flesh bags. I appreciate cats for that. I don't know about one of my cats, though. I named my cats after rifles because I figured they're hunters, but he's not. He's just... no. He thinks he's a dog. Alright, let's fast forward this one. I really could have fast forwarded this just a little more. Let's just make sure my math was right before. Where's oh yeah, yep, Xperia 1 is still a good ways from its burn. All right. Electric charge looks good as well. So we want to get 3 seconds away from burn. Is it with this? Yeah, so this is with it thrust limited. Okay. I want to delete that. Okay. Okay, you're being sensitive now. Come on. There we go. This is 1 hour 42 minutes away. 1 hour 42. Hey, McGray. Space. For those who don't know, McGray. Good YouTube channel. Good YouTube channel for sure. Let's see here. So, next maneuver. This one is still 2 hours and 58 minutes away. So, yeah, this is going to be a longer wait for this maneuver than our current satellite. So, let's go ahead. Let's switch back to it. KeoSat 3. And keep our satellite contracts going. So we'll time warp this once we get in position. And keep the meter up so I can actually see what's going on with battery. Good. We'll have a 9-second burn, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the thrust limiter back up. 3-second burn might be a little hard to control. Let's do 5-second. I like it to be an even number, so I can easily put us in the center of the burn. 85? 85% thrust? Yes, 4-second burn. Alright. Gray is also a cat person, or a person that gets stuck with cats, one of those two. Almost there. And this will work out good. If that gets us lined up well enough that we no longer need to make any changes to our orbit, we'll be done just in time to finish the orbit of the satellite we launched first. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright. Now, wait till 2 seconds before burn and we'll start it. So 2 seconds to go before the node and 2 after. Right. How are we doing on the contract? Let's see, geosynchronous. Bingo! So we did just get the contract for the geosynchronous orbit. And it, of course, doesn't need us to deploy the science, so we might as well just see if we can get any from it. Nope, 0 for transmitting. I'll reset that one. Maybe someday we can do something with it. Mr. Gill? Also no science from transmitting. But that's fine. We completed the contract. We're working on funds so we can do a science mission tomorrow. I haven't decided what the science mission will be. I want our moon experience to be basically taking care of all the science all in one shot. So it'd be redundant to send something there and then send something back to do the same science when we finally go to land. So I'm trying to think how I want to do that. I might send a probe to Everduna. Alright, now, let's go to Xperi. Now we got 1 hour and 15 minutes till this burn of 7 seconds. Gonna make that an 8-second burn. Yep, perfect. So we'll time warp this. Now I do also have one satellite mission for independent solar orbit that I could be doing. However, I have no idea what the orbit looks like and no idea how to check it. I tried zooming out in the tracking center. It doesn't look like I can see that. I'm thinking maybe it has something to do with needing to upgrade the tracking center? Possibly? Not sure if anyone knows that one. Hello, thank you for joining. Some of these names I wish I could just shout out at you or at least put you on the screen, but I have no idea how I want to pronounce that. I am not good at that, unfortunately. I'm good at rockets somewhat, though. Slightly. I'm less bad at rockets, let's put it that way. English hard, rocket science easy. Alright, let's see here. Wait till 4 seconds to burn. That'll center our 8-second burn over our node. More of the same. More of the same. Just a minor correction. Whoop, a little too much correction there. Let's just turn down the thrust limiter. There we go. Now, I think that just got us our second contract. Yes! So this did land us the contract. I'm just going to position this so the solar panels can at least see the sun. And there we go. So we got 2 contracts complete for satellites. Both of them are able to back up our relay network as well. Let me see. When you time warp to move forward to a maneuver or something, does the whole game time warp? It does. So this one actually was a good example. I had multiple satellites being launched, one after the other. So I was jumping back and forth between the 2 satellites to do the maneuvers. While that's going on, I have the Adventurer. It did fall out of contact, but we do have one very far out tracking probe in independent solar orbit. So, different missions going on all at the same time. So now, ooh, we've got some interesting options here. We've got one contract to actually adjust our existing Cursat 1. So this would be one of our Kerbin satellites. So lower than our Keosats, our geosynchronous. So we have to be in command of it, just to be still generating power and still have radio control. Reach the designated orbit with marginal deviation and hold it there 10 seconds. So they want a change in inclination. On a low orbit, that can be fuel expensive. Let me see. weeks. Okay, so that probably requires more planning, but is less confusing. I just got this trying to get to grips with it. Well, it's gonna definitely take a little while. Don't get too upset if you struggle on a few things with this game, for sure. I have moments where I struggle, like last night. Last night I struggled a lot. However, you get the hang of it. You get to the point where things come naturally. Now, we do have 2 more rescue missions that we could be doing. And they are low orbit missions. But, I don't know if I want to do more Uber space service here. Still have time to do in the stream, though. Radial drogue shoot. Flight above Kerman. – 4,000 meters to 11,000 meters, 210. This one I might be able to complete. I wish I had this yesterday. I think one of my diver probes would have done this. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take the repositioning. But rescue missions are free hiring. Well, I'll give you that one. We'll do something here. We'll do one. They do both say low orbit. We do get more prestige for saving Ronner. We get almost the same funds. We get slightly less funds and slightly more prestige for saving Ronner. It doesn't give us details of his orbit, though. That bothers me. I wish it would tell you. Because that was our struggle last night, is for whatever reason they had to do a high altitude, high inclination, retrograde orbit for our rescue. Just all kinds of evil. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's take Rescue Ronner. And I'll think about doing the other one. I think if we fill up our roster of Kerman, those will go away, all those missions. So we might only have 2 left. So maybe I should stretch them out a little bit. Oh, and before I do this, let's go to the tracking center. We'll adjust Kearsat 1. And while we're at it, we'll check the orbit of Ronner. So, Ronner... Why is this not showing me the orbits of these craft? A little bit bizarre. What times do you normally stream? Well, I've been streaming every night at 7, so I've been 7 Eastern Standard. Been keeping that going for a while. This is almost a full week, I think. And I'll keep it going as long as I can. So now it shows the orbit. Why wasn't that showing the orbit a minute ago? Huh. Weird. Or maybe... No, I was reading that right. So, this should be an easy one. 84... 81. So what I'll want to do, let's bring launch sites back up. For Elios, I think, was asking earlier about launch sites. This gives you the couple different new ones in the expansion. You get a Boomerang here, which, like I said, is very high latitude. Then you've got the Desert Launch Site, which is pretty close to equatorial. I actually thought it was equatorial, but that also has an airfield. You do get the standard KSC and the island airfield to take off from as well. So that's a good alternate landing zone. And I think you get the recovery of your craft affected by these as well. I think you get more money for recovering your craft close to one of these sites. So Boomerang would be pretty handy right now if I wanted to try and do temperature scans. I could take off from, say, KSC and then land. Well, there's no runway at Boomerang. I could parachute land, but... Anyway. I want to know what this thing is. What is this thing? Is that my Cursat? Yes, that is my Cursat. Okay, so we'll switch over to this. Let's see. Yeah, it's just an inclination change for the Cursat. It's actually kind of what I was afraid of. Let's go ahead, let's take care of this now. Eastern Standard Time, so it's 2037. Well, I do live in Florida. I get nice easy driving distance to go watch any launches if I want to go do that, which is nice. But it does leave me in Eastern Standard Time. Now, we want our descending node. No, our descending node is... Ooh. Ooh, they actually want us to raise our orbit a little bit. So I will have to make this pretty much at the descending node. Wow, they really, they made that one a little interesting. At least it wasn't just one simple maneuver. So let's see, we want to bring our inclination this way. Which is going to affect our para-apps as expected. We're just gonna change these nodes a little bit to line us up better. There, that looks like contract fulfilling exactness. Well, let's just make things just a little closer. The trouble with having such a close satellite do... I see, with a close satellite trying to do an inclination change. The faster you're going, basically, the easier an inclination change is in terms of delta V. So you use more fuel trying to do an inclination change here than you do way out here, like with Farsat. So this might use a decent amount of fuel. Although this satellite has a decent amount left. Here minus 13. Wow, okay, yeah, you're quite a ways away. And in Florida it is nice. I definitely can't complain too much. I can, actually, I just don't. There's plenty of nuts in Florida, that much is for sure. Now, burn is in only 6 minutes. Looks like we do have the delta V to perform this maneuver, so that's good. I don't know if the contracts could, like, technically give you something that's not possible. I'm not sure. That would be interesting. And we have an 8-second burn. So once again, we just wait till we're 4 seconds away from burn and then time it right in the middle. It's not too bad for a plane change maneuver. Somebody back on Kerbin was not able to get their television signal, so they need us to adjust our satellite, huh? I wonder what TV show they're trying to watch. I really could have time warped this a lot faster. But I know blank space and no changing screen is just such good content for everyone to enjoy. There we go, making our maneuver. We'll have a tiny bit of correction, looks like, here. Again, I want the music every time it does this 1.1 meter per second change and can't decide which way to spin us. I've lost my internet. Hurry up with that satellite. Well, that brings up a whole other question about what he was looking at online. Hopefully he was trying to watch my stream. Let's see. Alright, so that's good. We got our contract for adjusting the satellite. It's back in position where the customer wants it. I still have a lot of fuel on this, so we might get more adjustment missions on this. I kind of do miss this, though, for the Gen 2 satellite chassis that I have here. I miss having the cone on the top, now that I have the fairings. It's very distinctive. Looks very derpy. I like it. I like that one. Kerbals watch a lot of space disaster TV shows. They call it news. I dig it. That's good. It's accurate. Accurate. Alright, now that we got that contract out of the way, I'm going to pick this Mun adventure up so we can get a bunch of Mun science. I call it Mun. I know it's actually supposed to be Moon. Dude, I called you bro. Oh, you're not watching me? And we ran out of fuel. Yep. Pretty much. Alright, so this I'm going to take. And we're going to do what I call Mun science. It is actually supposed to be Moon, because it does have little dots above the U. But it then gets confusing, because then you start talking about moons versus that moon. And then it's another thing's lunar, because it's not Luna, like our moon. It's Dooner, because it's... Or, Mooner, I should say. Started to say Duna. That was weird. But it's, Mooner orbit instead of lunar orbit. And we filled our contracts again. There's an umlaut above that U. I think there used to be, and it got removed. I think because of the confusion. For some reason, I remember there being an umlaut above that. I might be just totally imagining that, though. I do that from time to time. So, which orbiter am I going to take for low orbit here? I think I can get away with orbiter 1. But I'm just going to use an updated version of orbiter 1. So I'm going to take that off. I'm going to go to the sub-assemblies. And we'll use our Type 1 launcher for this. Take the fairing off, though. And the separator. And the Communitron, because we already have one on the craft. Don't need the high gain antenna for this one. Probably don't need the drogue, to be honest. Should do nicely. So definitely need to fix the staging though. We'll use our solids first. That'll loft the swivel up. Swivel's more... It's kind of strange that it's not written with umlaut. So I think so too. So maybe I'm just thinking it should be that. But let's see. So we'll switch the swivel. That's more efficient higher up. So I don't want to switch that until these are off. So we'll do the separation there. Those. This, that, that, that. Okay, yep. We are good. And then the long-running mistake I made yesterday. We're going to make sure we don't have Jebediah riding along with us. Thank you, Jeb, for not stowing away like you did yesterday. Twice. Let's change up the design of this just a little bit, shall we? Make our Space Uber look more presentable. Ooh, I like that one. That combination. Make it all white, maybe. Ooh. Yeah, I think that looks suitable for a Space Uber. It's a shame that's the orange instead of the gray. I think I would have taken the gray. Oh, yeah, I don't know how to do that on PC. I know there's some, like, Alt command or something that you get it. Can't remember. Anyway, let's go ahead, let's launch this and try and get our new Kerman. Just a sanity check as well. I'm going to just quickly flip to the map, which doesn't show what I need it to show right now, so let's enable that. Just to make sure he's not heading retrograde, shall we? Okay, he is heading prograde. And he is kind of coming up on us, actually. What I should do is time the launch so that I take off with him pretty much over our heads. And then stay in a lower orbit to catch up with him. Although, it might be hard to get an orbit that low, that precise. Finnish standard, okay. Trying to think. I used to be a keyboard guy. I used to ship keyboards. I used to have to figure out how every keyboard was actually configured. I can't remember if I shipped any Finnish. Imagine that looks different. Or pretty common to someone that lives in Finland, I imagine. Yeah, I think I might time warp this just to get him over our heads. I'm going to do this like they do the ISS pretty much in low orbit. They let it get directly above the launch site pretty much at times. I think it's when it's Russian launch they do that. When it's Progress or Soyuz. I could be just making that up. I don't know. But the idea is we'd get in the lower orbit than the target, and then we would catch up to it, since we're not going to be at full speed when it's over our heads. Perfect. All right. Off we go, another orbiter. Oh, you did it. You didn't do it. Nice. This does not have, like, any control at all. It's minorly concerning. There we go. Rocket was too stable. I wasn't able to start turning it. Swivel. So I'm gimbling. Whoa, why did it do that? Nav ball reset? Oh, okay, yep. Okay. That's weird. I don't like that at all. So every time I go to the map view, it just kicks it back up. Let's just ride this out a little bit longer. Now it's stable. And shallow it out a little more. just want to keep our apogee lower than our target. 77 is lower. It counts. Nice. Yeah, I do have a much easier time on mobile devices picking out letters. Let's just be more fancy. So I'm going to add our maneuver node so we know where our apoapse is. And let's plan it out, because we can. We want to keep our orbit below our targets so we catch up. Oop, oh. Runaway scroll wheel. Okay. So now we have a node that we can start. A 48-second burn. So we'll start it at 24 seconds. We'll have a stage partway through. So our booster will fall back down the turbine and not leave any space to breathe. We are past apogee, so we are slightly losing altitude while we're doing this. So you can see the maneuver node slowly moving up, so I have to pitch up and compensate. Just a little bit of a correction up. Okay, maneuver complete. Now, still got half our fuel left to try and make our way up to Ronner's craft. So set him as our target. And we are close enough at least that we're getting intersect nodes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick a point along our orbit. To attempt and line us up to his. So probably at his perigee. Let's try and maneuver at his perigee to match his apogee. Yeah, it's not going to get us very far, is it? So now let's just kind of slide this around. Yeah, so we're just not in a different enough orbit to significantly catch up to it. You can see we are catching up to it, though. I could technically drop our perigee slightly. It's just in the range of being dangerously close to the atmosphere. Just do an orbit or two. You're leaving. Thank you for joining. Like I said, anytime you want to come in, we'll be at 7 to 9 Eastern Standard. So whenever you're feeling up to it. always welcome on this stream. There's only 4 people, so you don't have to get along with a lot of people. Alright, so we're very close. We've got... Oh, I never renamed our Farsat. That's funny. It's Farsat, but it's still stranded in low orbit. And very close to Gwengar and Ronner's craft as well. That's funny. Alright, now... I really screwed the pooch on this one, I think. Yeah, we pretty much just have to wait a bunch of orbits. Before we just get close enough here. So what I might do, I might make an attempt at the Sunsat. Although we're getting pretty near where I usually cut stream off, so maybe I'll just... Oh no, this is moving faster than I thought. One more orbit should do. Just being impatient. We'll save Sunset for another time. So now, once these get just a little closer, I'll try and throw a maneuver in to get us the rest of the way to a close intersect, and then we just need to match speed with the target. This looks like it's going to be the closer intersect. This one's only separation at 27 kilometers versus 53 here. So let's plan a maneuver. Ooh, this actually... Ah, that's right. Lessons I'm learning in orbital mechanics are being forgotten. So if I want to actually affect this intersect, I want to do it from this point, the actual maneuver. If that made sense, the words I was just saying. So I want to do the maneuver from this point, so then I come back to this point. Perfect. Perfect. That was not perfect. Yeah, I screwed that up. Okay. Let's kill that. .9. .7. 7.5. So yeah, this is definitely the way we want to do that. Line up our perigee with his perigee. There we go. And 3.8. 3.4. 3.4. Yeah, I wanted to go definitely this way. 2.5. 2.5 we can work with, but let's see if we can get it just a little tighter. Nope. .3. Let's do that. Does put our... Wow. No, that's not good. That won't do. Make sure it stays in space, please. So we'll keep it right there. So we'll stay with a 7.4 separation. So we don't accidentally deorbit ourselves. Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't right-click it. I remembered it earlier though. So yeah, this is. Now we're talking. Get to 4.8 if we do the burn here. Slide that a little more. 4.9, 4.8, 4.9. So yeah, this is like a sweet spot. Nope, 13. 4.1. Alright, 25 minutes. And then we'll do our maneuver. Just want to see how far are we right now from runners. Not that far. So we get pretty close before we even attempt the maneuver here. Just also want to see that this doesn't change with our orbit. I want to make sure it predicts that right. Sometimes I feel like Kerbal doesn't know quite how to predict what it wants to. Now let's just see real quick, because this looks like it's just an alignment thing. Get it just a little bit closer. 0.2, no. No. Different altitudes is what it is. 4.0. Oh, there we go. .7. Where's our perigee? This is the most we'd want to do, because that just barely leaves us above orbit. So let's back it off a little bit, so I keep a little bit of a safety buffer. Yeah, 71. So 2.8 will be a good intersect. How are we doing electric charge? Point the solar panel at the sun, because that was a thing I was forgetting to do yesterday. The singular solar panel. I really need to adjust that. I need to change that design. I don't know why I didn't just put more solar panels around this thing. Are we that cheap? Are we that cheap at Dude I Called You Bro Space Program? Yeah, actually, kinda. Okay. So we'll do this burn, which is kind of scary because you're like burning. Don't actually deorbit by pointing at the planet and firing. As odd as that is, it actually further away from the planet, depending on timing and the setup of your orbit. Let's fuel limit this down so I can actually see some kind of timing. 5-second burn. Can I make it a 4-second burn? 4-second burn. Nice. Okay, so 2 seconds away from it, we'll throttle up. It's a very minor adjustment. 19.2. Delta V. Which is not much at all, considering it takes about 3,400 to consistently get to orbit. Oops. Need to make sure this maneuver is very precise, so we're not putting ourselves, Yep, now it did the, I don't know where the target node is. Deal. So now our actual intersect is going to be at 2.8. So I'm going to put a node there, just so we know how long away it is. 26 minutes. And we're going to time warp to there. That's when we're going to do a maneuver target. And actually, we're losing battery, and I'm since been freaked out by that scarring moment last night. So we're just going to angle ourselves towards the sun, get some battery, recharge for a minute. And then we'll go and time warp. Now, I do need to start thinking about what our science mission is going to be tomorrow. I do want to do something other than the moon, because I want to attack the moon with all the research parts that we need to do everything all in one shot, more or less. I'm thinking probably Duna, send a probe. I think the Orbiter 5 we used last night to save Nedbo could easily make it to Duna, and it's already set up to have the second stage function as a relay. I'm like messing up my hat today. So we would have a relay to help, hopefully. So gotta think about that one. Because that orbiter was very specifically designed to get into a high orbit, drop a relay, and then do an inclination rescue. So I think our burn times, tank sizes, everything else might be totally wrong for a Duna mission. But it could work. If you're using second stage to get into interplanetary space, and then do the maneuver high Duna orbit. If you can get it to last that long, if it gets all the way to high Duna orbit before needing to go on to the probe itself. But I don't think it would make it that far. We could maybe put an AJ-10 on though for that stage and replace the 2 Terrier engines. That makes me happy actually, that thought. So now we're pretty much at our burn. We're going to retrograde to target burn. So we're going to cancel all movement to the target. So what we're doing basically is we're matching speed and direction. So we're going to fly in formation from 2 miles away. Okay, so we got 0 movement to target. Target is now where? Okay, that's opposite of target. So it should be that away. And we're quickly gaining movement to target, so I'm just going to burn a little bit towards it. Try and make this rendezvous work sooner rather than later. don't see it. We've been able to acquire visual range, I think, at 2 kilometers out before. I think you can see it 2 kilometers out. I don't see it, though. Are we approaching it? Okay, yes, we are at least approaching it. And our... Let's get rid of that maneuver. We do get to 1.3 kilometers away with that burn. Which definitely should be visual range. See if that helps us out a little bit. I don't want to approach too fast because then we're going to have to brake very hard. 1.1. 1. So essentially what this maneuver is doing is precisely lining up our orbits, only moving ours to intersect slightly, ever so slightly. So then the final burn to make our orbits exact will be pushing the orbit back the direction we came. So we took... Steve, don't blow up. I might blow up. That's the thing that sometimes happens. Oh, there's our target. So let's go ahead, thrust limiter back up. Way out there is our target. That's our buddy. Drop a maneuver node just so I know when we're at our closest. Yep, hard brake on that. Cancel our movement to target. So we're gonna basically, again, we're gonna fly formation a good distance away. We're still about a half kilometer. We are in kilometers here. A half kilometer away from our target. It is now that away. So now that we've canceled the movement, we'll again accelerate towards the target. Once again, shifting our orbits over. So we have fairly identical orbits, just one slightly offset. And now what intersect does that give us? Move our maneuver node. Gives us a 0.0. Okay, so we should actually reach the craft with that burn. Hey, Mosey. Maybe don't stand on my light. Thank you. Cats. Alright, coming into view now. Your Uber has arrived. Oh, that's neat. That's the Mark 1 cockpit. Oh, okay, Cat. Cat's playing with the shade to the light. Alright. So now, we're close enough, we can switch over to our stranded Kerman, who is a scientist. That's good. We did need scientists. Doing good, buddy. Just a little forward. Yes. No. gently. There you go. Alright. So we've recovered runner. Now change our maneuver nodes to orbital. Wanted to remove our target, but we're so close to it we can't. Now we need to plan our descent burn. So what I'll do for now, I'll keep flying in formation here. Turn our solar panel towards the sun. Just recharge our batteries for a minute. Alright, and then we'll wait for an opportunity to try and land as close to Kerbal Space Center as possible. So I'm going to aim for the water past the Space Center. Although with our drogue chute, we should have no problem landing even on land. So because of the rotation of the planet, it's a challenge to try and plan that ahead of time without better math than I possess. So I'm going to let us get fairly close, so the amount that we have to try and eyeball is minimal. And I'm going to set up our retrograde burn. So I'm going to aim it right about there. It's not going to take into consideration the amount the atmosphere is going to try and slow us down. So I want to figure out that I get at least a little bit out into the ocean, and it should get pretty close to the Kerbal Space Center. If I even have enough Delta V to make that aggressive of a re-entry burn. I do. Okay, that's fine. That's what we'll do. I must right side up. I don't know if it matters in Kerbal Space Program. In real life, capsules like this are slightly offset in their center of mass. So when it re-enters the atmosphere, when that heat shield is hitting the atmosphere, it's actually kind of skipping off it and flying. It's really controllable with proper aerodynamics. But let's go here, thrust limiter all the way up. So when the astronauts in Mercury and in Gemini were coming back, they actually had the ability to steer their capsule through the atmosphere and get their landing site just right. It's actually easier to do that on site than with math. Which is actually what the return looks like on the Falcon 9. When the Falcon 9 comes back, it's not, they don't hit the target landing with precise calculation. They get a calculation to get it really close, but then the computer on board the actual rocket is just really good at landing. So the computer makes tiny decisions on its own and figures out, yeah, this is going to be the ideal landing. It does look a little bit like we might overshoot the Space Center. Hi, Mosey. You're also casting a shadow on my green screen, girl. So once I see that we start hitting the atmosphere a little bit and start seeing some re-entry animation, I am going to use up the last of the fuel to decelerate as much as possible. Perhaps it's a good idea to do that now, actually, because this is a vacuum-efficient engine. That's a tough call. I'm going to do it now. Voting for the... we're going to just quickly dump that off so we can expose our heat shield so we don't blow up. We're about to enter comm blackout. There's the space center down there. Let aerodynamics control the craft from here. So with radio blackout, we won't be able to communicate with Ronner here, but since he's there, he'll be able to do all the controls we need him to. So I'll be able to control him, basically. Yeah, we're going to go just a little past KSE. I got to get better at aiming. Closer we get, the less less it costs a minute. Well, the pieces is blowing up down there from our little booster. But yeah, the closer you get to the KSC, the more funds you get for recovering your craft. So if you land like right at however much all your parts cost, you get all of it back. But if you land on the other side of the planet, you only get a portion of it, because I guess you have to pay to go and recover everything, right? This is an aggressive reentry profile, but I'm a little overconfident with these reentries because we do have the drogues. Yep. Not too far from KSC. Actually didn't do that bad. So we're going to launch the drogue first. Drogue's at a safe speed and altitude for us to open. So all a drogue chute is a regular parachute with a decent catches the air, but doesn't trap it. So it doesn't rip the parachute apart if you're going too fast down all the way, because once you get to a certain point, the air just flows right through it. So then you need your main parachute, which is now deployed. We could technically cut the drogue if I wanted to. Don't particularly care too much. Plus, who knows, I might be able to get extra points for recovering it or something. There we go. There's full deploy of the drogue. About to have full deploy of the main. Yep, here we go. Yeah, surface velocity's down to next to nothing. So I'll time warp it the rest of the way to the surface. I will stop the time warp right at splashdown. Never trust Kerbal Space Program when it comes to landing on time warp. Almost too easy. I forget if there's any chance to take like surface samples or anything here. If I've taken a crew report from the water, obviously I have. If I've taken an EVA report from here, probably I have, yeah. Take surface sample. Haven't done it. Okay. So at least we get some science. Ronner's already a useful member of the team. Alright, 12 science. Yeah, we got 2,083 of our funds back. That puts us now, finally, after that launch and that contract completion, at over 1 million funds. So we can definitely afford a science mission. Runner's already at level 1. You can recover our... We can check what else is going on in Contract Center. Yeah, this one's mean. Position orbiter 3.5 relay in an adjusted orbit out of Kerman. That relay is completely out of fuel. All that relay is a bottom stage of one of our rescue craft from last night. I just threw some relay antennas on it so we could use it to communicate back to Kerbin without taking the antennas with us. So yeah, I can't do that one. We could do another rescue mission for Jogan, who's another low Kerbin orbit. But I want to see this one. What is a Colnea orbit? Oh, a highly eccentric orbit. Okay. Para-apps of 103.5 thousand meters, so kilometers. Apoapse of 3,000,000 kilometers. No, okay, it does have inclination. It has a 63.4 degree inclination. Ouch! Trying to do a inclinated, high inclination, eccentric orbit. That might be a challenge. No wonder it's high prestige. Oh, geez, and high funds. 228,000 credits to do that. 77,000 credit advance. Plus, we get science for doing it, and 24 reputation. Let me see, what stuff does it need? It's another one that needs a mystery goo and a materials bay. So that's going to be like the Xperi satellite. No, it'll be the Keosat 3. Keosat 3 I'll be able to reuse. Let's design that and then I'll cut the stream from there. What are other active contracts, by the way? Still got to test the TD-25 decoupler in flight. It should be easy. We'll get there pretty soon. I think that might be even an automatic when we do our moon mission. That will probably do that. And then we'll get temperature scans of the moon, science data from space around the moon, we'll explore the moon, and we'll get science data from the surface of the moon. So I've been collecting all those. None of those expire anytime soon. These ones all expire in 9 years. In the meantime, we still have this weird Colnea orbit and solar orbit, a sun orbit. Oh, now it tells me, okay. So I need an apoapse of 35 billion meters and a para-apse of 23 billion meters off of the sun. Needs a mystery goo on the satellite. Another one with more science and lots of reputation and big funds to complete. So I think that one and the Colnea satellite will be the ones for tomorrow. Tomorrow at 7, more satellites. Alright, so don't worry about Orbiter 1. go ahead and open. Did I save? I didn't save the CureSat. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I saved any satellites that have that that setup. So let's see. Let's get the updated Sat-4 launcher, and let's change this around a little bit. Because again, it needs a mystery goo and a materials bay. Materials bay will go on first. Keep using extra antenna so I can have a free relay satellite out of this. I'm sure they won't mind if I use their. So I'll only put 2 solar panels on each of those. That should do fine. And then we need to do the mystery goo. Not forget that this time. So I'll set it to. I have 2 of these, and as long as they're completely aligned, then I know I've centered it. Not perfect. I didn't reduce it down to 1 yet. So there we go. Now it's perfect. So we got the material bay, we got the goo canister. Now we've already got the payload shroud and everything ready, so that's nice and safe for the launch. Yeah, I think that's gonna do fine tomorrow. This will be Sat. Alright guys, and from there I think that's gonna be the stream. So tomorrow at 7 Eastern Standard Time, we'll jump back in, and we'll launch this satellite. We might launch the Sun satellite, now that I actually know what the orbit is that it needs. And then from there, we'll start planning the moon mission. Hopefully we'll get enough science. If not, we'll launch a science mission. Between Duna and Eve, it'll be one of those 2. I haven't decided. So, thanks everyone for watching. If you want to catch our old streams, go ahead and check them out on YouTube under Dude I Called You Bro. Everything's exported pretty much the same night we broadcast, so it should be on sometime tonight, and then probably in higher resolution by morning. So thank you guys again, and have a good night.